Good day, virtual learners! Welcome to English 8 live streaming lesson.
We hope that everyone is safe and doing great. Always stay at home, take a lot of water and vitamins.
Rest assured that our city government is doing their very best to protect public health and safety.
Despite of this pandemic, with the full support of our city government led by Mayor Rex Gatchalian, no student in DepEd Valenzuela will be left behind.
Let's help and support one another with a hashtag. No matter what the situation is, education must continue. Today, we are going to talk about one important skill you must develop to increase your vocabulary, enhance your reading comprehension, and to be a better reader.
But first, let us all familiarize our learning principles. Listen,
Note and learn. Listen attentively and pay attention throughout the discussion.
note. Note the important details. At the same time, you may take note of your questions during the discussion and you will be given enough time to type it in the comment section for the Q&A part.
Lastly, learn. Learn something new and together we'll learn as one. Always remember,
Listen,
note, and learn. Furthermore, you are expected to enhance your knowledge and improve your vocabulary skills by noting context clues. Sounds interesting, right, ma'am?
yes indeed, sir. We bet you are now very thrilled to launch yourself into a fun-filled learning experience. The most essential learning competency covered in our lesson is to determine the meaning of words by noting context clues.
For the objectives, at the end of the lesson, you are expected to determine the meaning of words and expressions that reflect the local culture by noting context clues.
Objective number 2. Use appropriate strategies in unlocking the meaning of unfamiliar words and idiomatic expressions. Some of the mentioned learning competencies will be achieved in your follow-up discussion together with your subject teacher. For this lesson, we will use the strategic, localized, and interactive instructional material prepared by Ma'am Donna S. Corpus, Master Teacher of General Tiburcio de Leon National High School.
Virtual learners, have you experienced difficulties in reading sentences because you cannot understand some of the words used in it? For example, police officers are very conspicuous. We can see them in checkpoints.
The unfamiliar word here is conspicuous. And if you are not familiar to the word, it will make the sentence complicated and difficult for you to understand. What do you usually do to deal with this kind of unfamiliar word?
Well, ma'am, somebody may say, consulting Merriam-Webster Dictionary or browsing the internet.
Well, sir, that's fine, but do you know that learning context clues will help you a lot to unlock this word without browsing the internet or consulting a dictionary?
Then, what are context clues, Ma'am Celine?
Context clues are hints that help you define an unfamiliar word. These hints can be found within the sentence or in the surrounding sentences. To further understand, let's have the 5 types of context clues. Just remember the acronym IDEAS, which stands for inference, definition, example, antonym, and synonym.
Let's start with inference. To understand the meaning of the unknown word, one must make a guess based on the descriptions, ideas presented, or details given in the sentence. For example, teachers are known for being loquacious. They love to talk about ideas. The word loquacious is furtherly explained by the sentence They love to talk about ideas. Using this group of words, we can make an inference or guess that the meaning of the word loquacious is tending to talk much or being talkative. Another example for inference is, wild with his grief, he felt deep remorse and would have leaped in after his daughter. But strong men held him back. The unfamiliar word in this sentence is remorse. Take note of the words wild with his grief. Using these words, we can infer or guess that the meaning of remorse is deep regret or guilt.
Now, let's proceed on the second type of context clues. Unlike inference, definition gives us an exact or precise meaning of the unfamiliar word. The meaning of the word or expression is explained or defined in the sentence or in the surrounding sentences. Let's look at this example. Martha is a curator, a person who is responsible for looking after a museum's collection. The unfamiliar word is curator, and its definition is directly stated in the sentence. Curator is a person who is responsible for looking after a museum's collection. Usually, we can spot the definition right after the unfamiliar word, followed by a comma or enclosed by two commas. Take note of the word usually. It does not mean always, just like in this example. A treasure hunter is a person who searches for treasures from sunken ships and ancient tombs to obtain valuable relics and artifacts. Treasure hunter is a person who searches for treasures. The definition is stated right after the unfamiliar word, but it doesn't have a comma. Why? Because it uses a relative pronoun instead of a comma. Now, to give you an idea about relative pronoun, it connects clauses.
Next type of context clues is example, where one or more examples of the words or expressions are given as a clue. In the sentence, in ancient times, some of our forefathers believed in amulets, such as pearl of the crocodile, pearl of the axe, bullet necklace, and bag of herbs to protect them from harm. The unfamiliar word here is amulets. There are examples stated to elaborate the amulets, such as pearl of the crocodile, pearl of the axe, bullet necklace, and bag of herbs. And these things are kept to bring charm. Amulets mean something worn or kept to bring good luck or kept away evil. In addition, like and such as are words commonly used when giving examples, so better to take note of them. Let's have another example. The animals feed on grasses, leafy plants, shrubs, and other vegetation. Our unfamiliar word here is vegetation. There are examples stated to elaborate the word vegetation, such as grasses, leafy plants, and shrubs. With these clue words, it gives us an idea or hint that the meaning of vegetation is a general term for plant life of a region, or it refers to the ground cover provided by plants. I hope that everyone can still follow.
The fourth context clue is antony. Words or expressions opposite in meaning is given in the sentence or nearby sentences. Let's look for the antonym in this sentence. Among the siblings of thin body structure, Isabel is the only one who is portly. The unfamiliar word portly describes Isabel's body structure that is an exact opposite of her siblings' thin body structure. Therefore, we can say that portly means fat or having an excess body fat. Another example, unlike Jan's immaculate room, Jack's room was very messy. The same with the first example, the word opposite and meaning is given in the sentence. The word immaculate is the unfamiliar word and it is being compared to Jeff's room, which is messy. Take note of the word unlike. This word already gives us an idea that the words are opposite in meaning. It gives us the opposite meaning of immaculate, which means perfectly clean or neat.
Lastly, we have the synonym. Words or expressions with similar meaning are given in the sentence or near the sentence. For example, it is common for Filipinos to feel compassion or pity for the suffering of their fellow men. The word compassion is synonymous to pity. Compassion also means pity. To be more exact, compassion is the capacity to feel sorrow for another's suffering or misfortune. Let's take another example. Littering is an infraction and violation of the law. The unfamiliar word here is infraction. In the sentence, a word with similar meaning is given. It can give us an idea that infraction is almost the same meaning with violation. Now, let's try to use the context clues that we have learned from our discussion to unlock the unfamiliar word in the sentence that we have earlier. Police officers are very conspicuous. We can see them in checkpoints. In this sentence, our unfamiliar word is conspicuous. First, let's look for a clue that we can find in the sentence. Can you give us a clue? Correct! The sentence, we can see them in checkpoints, is our clue here. Can you now guess its meaning? That's right! The meaning of the unfamiliar word is visible or easily seen. Now, what made you think about it? That's great! It is because of context clues. There are a group of words given in the sentence that gave us an idea or hint for its possible meaning.
Can you guess what type of context clue is applied in that sentence? Very good! It's inference. Description, idea, and detail were given in the sentence. To sum it up, context clues are hints that help you define an unfamiliar word. They are hugely important because it leads us to academic success and to be a proficient reader. Just always remember the acronym IDEAS. Inference, definition, example, antonym, and synonym.
And that's where our discussion ends. We hope that you have learned something new today. Before we proceed to our Q&A part, we will give you 60 seconds to think of your questions and type it in the comment section.
And we're back! These are some of the questions that our moderator gathered from the comment sections.
The first question is from Magulang Lupa National High School. How can we effectively differentiate definition from inference? Nice question. For you not to be confused with these two types of context clues, in inference, you are making an intelligent guess to get the meaning of the unfamiliar word by using the details, descriptions, and ideas presented in the sentence as your clues. While in definition, there's no need to make a guess because the exact meaning is already given.
Next question is from Malinta National High School. Her question is, how can we apply those context clues in our daily lives? By the way, thank you for this question. It is really a good one. Context clues are useful in our daily lives, like when you are reading articles, selections, or other reading materials, but sometimes we don't have a dictionary or an internet connection around. So, if we are well familiar or aware on how to utilize these context clues, you can identify the meaning of the unfamiliar word easily.
One more question from Citero Francisco National High School. The question is there really a need to pay attention to context clues whenever we are reading? Thank you for that question. Yes, because it is a great help, especially for students like you, to understand a reading text. It is just an alternative way to identify an unfamiliar word in case you don't have a dictionary or internet connection with you. Moreover, from the discussion that we have earlier, it increases your vocabulary, enhances your reading comprehension to be a proficient reader.
Thank you, Grade 8, for asking those questions. Now, for those questions that are not answered, you may ask it in your follow-up discussion with your subject teacher. For sure, they are very much willing to answer your questions. Before we officially end this session, we would like to introduce to you some of the activities in your learning packets that you need to accomplish to enrich the skills that you have learned from our discussion. Lesson 1. For activity number 1, starting with the basic. For activity number 2, making meaning. And for activity number 3, practice makes perfect.
Thank you for watching English 8 live streaming lesson. And to our grade 8 students, have a nice day.
See you in our next session. Goodbye, stay safe, and God bless.